so much for coming out and braving the cold to stand there and show us how much you love books, to show the world. We really appreciate it. I'm reading from a beautiful poetic novel tonight, set in 19th century America. It's about the effect of slavery on an African American family. And even more than that, it's a ghost story, which is one of the reasons I love it. And I'm going to read a section where the ghost of a girl appears to her family for the very first time in human form. A fully dressed woman walked out of the water. She barely gained the dry bank of the stream before she sat down and leaned against a mulberry tree. All day and all night she sat there, her head resting on the trunk in a position abandoned enough to crack the brim in her straw hat. Everything hurt, but her lungs most of all. Sopping wet and breathing shallow, she spent those hours trying to negotiate the weight of her eyelids. The day breeze blew her dress dry. The night wind wrinkled it. Nobody saw her emerge or came accidentally by. If they had, chances are they would have hesitated before approaching her, not because she was wet or dozing or had what sounded like asthma, but because amid all that, she was smiling. By late afternoon, when the carnival was over and the Negroes were hitching rides home if they were lucky, walking if they were not, the woman had fallen asleep again. The rays of the sun struck her full in the face, so that when Seth, Denver, and Paul D. rounded the curve in the road, all they saw was a black dress with 2 unlaced shoes below it. "Look," said Denver, "what is that?" And, for some reason she could not immediately account for, the moment she got close enough to see the face, Seth's bladder filled to capacity. She said, "Oh, excuse me," and ran around to the back of number 124. Not since she was a baby girl had she had an emergency that unmanageable. She never made the outhouse. Right in front of its door, she had to lift her skirts, and the water she voided was endless. She hoped Paul D. wouldn't take it upon himself to come looking for her and be obliged to see her squatting in front of her own privy, making a mud hole too deep to be witnessed without shame. Just about the time she started wondering if the carnival would accept another freak, it stopped. She tidied herself and ran around to the porch. No one was there. All 3 were inside, Paul D. and Denver standing before the stranger, watching her drink cup after cup of water. "She said she was thirsty," said Paul D. He took off his cap. Mighty thirsty looked like. The woman gulped water from a speckled tin cup and held it out for more. 4 times Denver filled it, and 4 times the woman drank as though she had crossed a desert. When she was finished, a little water was on her chin, but she did not wipe it away. Instead, she gazed at Seth with sleepy eyes. Poorly fed, thought Seth, and younger than her clothes suggested. Good lace at the throat and a rich woman's hat. Her skin was flawless, except for 3 vertical scratches on her forehead, so fine and thin they seemed at first like hair, baby hair, before it bloomed and roped into the masses of black yarn under her hat. "You from around here?" Seth asked her. She shook her head no and reached down to take off her shoes. She pulled her dress up to the knees and rolled down her stockings. When the hosiery was tucked into the shoes, Seth saw that her feet were like her hands, soft and new. "What might your name be?" said Paul D. "Beloved," she said. "Thank you."